As the Kuching Teochew Association turns the pages of time from nearly 200 years ago to this day, one can imagine how the early Teochew people, carrying with them only bare necessities, decided to cross the South China Sea to migrate to Kuching. The Teochew arrived and settled in Kuching along the Sarawak River and built more shop houses to call their homes, and soon a small Teochew community was established. James Brooke, the first white Raja, came to rule Sarawak in 1841. The Brookes ruled Sarawak for 100 years. The Second World War broke out and the Japanese came to occupy Sarawak in 1941. After the Japanese surrendered, Sarawak was ceded to the United Kingdom in 1946. Sarawak later gained its independence on 22nd of July 1963 until the formation of Malaysia on 16th September 1963. The formation of the Kuching Teochew Association originated from the Hiang Tiang Siang Ti temple built by the Teochew at the Sun Hong Street, now known as the Main Bazaar. The temple was destroyed by a fire on 20th of January 1844. A new temple was built at Carpenter Street, and the inscription at the temple recorded that it was constructed in 1863. The year 1864 was then adopted as the formation year for the Kuching Teochew Association. In the old days, a management committee called Ngi An Kyun was elected annually to manage the temple. This committee was later renamed Sun Hong Kong Si, which became a registered society when the Sarawak government introduced the Registration of Societies Ordinance in 1914. In 1933, Sun Hong Kong Si was renamed Teochew Association and subsequently to Teochew Association in 1937. Besides managing a temple to provide for spiritual solace, the Kuching Teochew Association also provides for education, and the Teochew community set up the Mintek School in 1916. Sun Hong Kong Si took over the management of the school in 1920. Mintek School was interrupted by the Japanese occupation in 1942. Later, after the Japanese occupation, a combined Chinese school board was formed, comprising representatives from 13 Chinese organizations. Mintek School was renamed Chunghua Middle School. In 1958, the senior classes moved to a new school named Chunghua Middle School No. 1 at Pending Road. Mr. Kwek Siak Hong, a local Teochew, donated the land for building the school. With the setting up of the senior Chunghua School No. 1, Chunghua Middle School was renamed as Chunghua Middle School No. 2. In 1963, the colonial government introduced a new education system with English as the medium of instruction for all government-aided secondary schools. After a thorough study and in pursuit of future undertakings, the Kuching Teochew Association decided to accept the new education policy and change the name from Chunghua Middle School to Kuching High School. The school adopted English as the medium of instruction while maintaining Mandarin as an important subject. Since its establishment, Kuching High School has undoubtedly produced thousands of students who are now very successful in the public and private sectors. The role of the Kuching Teochew Association also extends to taking care of the departed ones. The earliest burial ground was constructed at the Sarawak Museum grounds. Later, a cemetery was constructed at 1.5 Mile Rough Road, and subsequently, when the cemetery became congested, a new cemetery site was constructed at the 9th Mile Kuching Bowl Road. Apart from providing charitable work, the Kuching Teochew Association fostered a very strong bond with the Sarawak government. His Excellency, the late Governor of Sarawak, Tun Abang Haji Openg, declared open the Kuching Teochew Association building in 1963 and unveiled the centenary plaque of the Kuching Teochew Association on the 29th of November 1964. His Excellency visited us again, together with the late Chief Minister of Sarawak, the Right Honourable Datuk Tawis Lee, in 1966, during the hosting of the Malaysia Teochew Association Summit in Kuching. The event was attended by many dignitaries, including His Excellency, the present Governor of Sarawak, Tun Pihin Sri Haji Abdul Taib Mahmud, and the late Datuk Petinggi Laila Taib. Earlier this year, the Kuching Teochew Association was again graced by the visit of the former governor, His Excellency Tun Datuk Petinggi Abang Muhammad Salahuddin, during the Chinese New Year gathering. Throughout the history of the Kuching Teochew Association, there were many prominent Teochew in the private and public sectors, and names like Si Yao Tong, Kwek Siak Hong, Tan Chak Yu, Tan Bak Lim, Lau Cheng Puan are familiar to many people. Recent prominent Teochew include Tan Sri Datuk William Tan, who was the first president of the Kuching Municipal Council from 1956 to 1959. He also served as the second Speaker of the Sarawak State Assembly from 1968 to 1973. Datuk Teochew, a local Teochew, was Minister of Natural Resources. Datuk Teochew also served in the Kuching Teochew Association. Datuk Gomeng Tet was the first local to be appointed the Director of the Land and Surveys Department. Datuk Nsek Ki was a prominent Teochew and was appointed the Director of the Public Works Department. Datuk Sri Tan Chiao Tong was the first Sarawakian to be appointed the State Attorney General of Sarawak and later became a High Court judge. The long list of prominent Teochew goes on. Looking back, a journey spanning a period of 150 years has got to be both wonderful and awesome for everyone. For the Kuching Teochew Association, it is no exception.